This tutorial is about object properties in GeoGebra. Each object that GeoGebra creates has a number of properties associated with it, and the easiest way to get at these is to right click an object. So I'm going to start with this polygon, right click, and at the bottom of the menu is properties. Click on there and we get a dialog box with a number of tabs. The basic tab contains things like the name, the script that was used to create it, and one or two other options which we'll look at another time. We've got colour. So with this palette I can change the colour of the object, so I'm going to pick a nice purple, and you see not only does it change the object to that colour, but it also puts that colour into a recently used colours toolbox, and that allows you to keep things consistent on your screen. Okay, if we've got a style, because this is an object with lines and an interior, we can change the line thickness, so I'm going to beef that up a bit. We've got a number of different styles, so I'll use that dash style there. And the filling is basically the opacity of the object, so at the moment that's set very low. I'm going to bring that up to about halfway. Okay, the advanced tab, we won't worry about that at the moment. You can do some rather clever things with that. We'll leave it for now. So if I close that, those changes should become effective. So let's see. Yes, there we are, everything's changed. If you decide at some point that you don't like what you've just done, there is an undo button at the top there, and Control Z works as well. So if I click on that, that should take us back to where we were. I can redo it with this. Okay, so that works perfectly well. Okay, suppose I wanted to change the way that the points look. I could click on a point, change it, click on another point and change it, and so on, but that's rather tedious. So it is possible to change the properties of objects as a group. So rather than click on the object itself, I'm going to show you can click on its description over in the algebra view here. Click on there, select properties, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift click the last point, and that should select all of those. There we are, you can see they've all been highlighted. Okay, so if we go to colour, I'm going to make these black, I think, so that pops into the recently used colours. Style, I'm going to make the points a bit bigger, and I'm going to change the style from the default to an open circle. Okay, so if I click on that now, they should all change together, and there we can see that they have. Okay, object properties gives you some additional control over labels as well, so let's have a look at that. I've just clicked point A. I'll go back to basic. You can see we've got a number of options down here. We can show and hide the object here, show and hide the label, but we've also got this dialog here. So for example, if I change name to name and value, and close that, you'll see we now get the coordinates. If I move A around, you can see those changing dynamically. It's just the same as what you see over here. I can also, through the properties box, change the name. So I want to call that point X instead. I can change that and put it in there. Close, that's now X. Okay, if you want to add a suffix to that and call it point X1, you need to use an underscore and a number, and GeoGebra will understand that to mean that you want a suffix. So there you go, X1. If you want to make the name anything more complicated than that, then you need to use something different called a caption. Okay, so I'm going to call this one the apex of my shape. Okay, and to get GeoGebra to show you that, you need to change the label to caption. Okay, if we do that, we should find we now have the apex, and of course that label will move around with its object. Okay, so that's an introduction to object properties.